Today, I'll be explaining how neurons communicate with electrical signals, also known as actin potentials. These signals control everything from muscle movement to thoughts. Let's start by understanding what happens when a neuron is at rest. First, resting membrane potential. At rest, neurons have a charge difference across their membranes, about -70 millivolts inside. This is called the resting membrane potential. It's maintained by sodium-potassium pumps that move 3 sodium ions out and 3 potassium ions in, keeping the inside more negative. This balance prepares the neuron for activation. So down here, I drew the membrane at resting potential. And this is where the sodium ions are going to go out, and this is where the potassium ions are going to go in. Next, we can talk about the receptive segment and graded potentials. The receptive segment of a neuron includes the dendrites and cell body. Here, the neuron receives chemical messages from other neurons. These messages cause graded potentials, small local voltage changes that vary in strength. When neurotransmitters bind to receptors, they create postsynaptic potentials, either excitatory EPSPs, which move the neuron closer to firing, or inhibitory IPSPs, which move it further away. And then here I included a picture on the receptive segment and graded potentials. Now we can talk about threshold and initial segment. If enough excitatory inputs add up, the neuron reaches the threshold membrane potential, around -55 MV. This occurs at the initial segment, near the axon helix. When threshold is reached, the neuron fires an actin potential, allowing the all or none law. It either fires completely or none at all. And I have included a diagram showing the threshold and initial segment, where here is the threshold. Next, let's talk about actin potential steps. Once threshold is met, the actin potential begins. First, depolarization. Sodium channels open, Na+ rushes in, making the inside positive. Second, repolarization. Sodium channels close, potassium channels open, K+ flows out, restoring negativity. 3. Hyperpolarization. Membrane becomes slightly more negative than resting before stabilizing. These rapid voltage changes send the signal down the axon. And I included a diagram down here with all of the steps. Now we can talk about ion channels, pumps, and refractory periods. Ion movement depends on several structures, sodium and potassium channels. Regulate depolarization and repolarization. Sodium-potassium pumps restore resting balance after firing. Calcium channels open at the terminal to release neurotransmitters. After firing, the neuron can't immediately fire again. It goes through absolute refractory period, where no new impulse can start, and relative refractory period, where a stronger stimulus can cause another actin potential. So down here, I included a graph that shows the absolute refractory period and the relative refractory period. And then I included a little image at the bottom that shows how the Na channels and the K+ channels work, showing how these are closed, then activate and slowly activating, inactive, while the other one is activated, closed and activated, and then closed and closed. Next, we can talk about the conductive segment. The conductive segment is an axon where the actin potential travels. There are two main ways signals move. Continuous conduction, slower, occurs on unmyelinated axons, and saltatory conduction. Faster in myelinated axons, the signal jumps between nodes of Ranvier. And down here I have showed where the conductive segment is, and there's little tiny nodes, and the signal jumps in between them along the conductive segment. Next, let's talk about the transmissive segment and acetylcholine. At the transmissive segment, located at the axon terminals, calcium ions enter the axon potential arrives. This causes vessels to release neurotransmitters like ACH into the synaptic cleft, allowing communication with the next neuron, muscle, or gland. And I provided an image showing the transmissive segment and acetylcholine. Next, we can talk about a nervous system disorder. When a neural conduction is disrupted, it can lead to disorders. A good example is multiple sclerosis. The immune system attacks the myelin sheath, causing slower or blocked saltatory conduction. Symptoms include weakness, fatigue, and poor coordination, showing how crucial proper neural conduction is. This one is a normal, healthy nerve. With multiple sclerosis, these little myelin sheaths are usually damaged, and they'll have holes in them, like this, that'll expose right here. To wrap up, neurons send signals through a precise sequence from resting potential to neurotransmitter release. Every ion channel pump and potential change plays a role in communication that keeps our bodies functioning every second. Understanding this process helps us treat and prevent neurological disease more effectively.